There seems to be a number of things that probably block guys from being a warrior that they have to deal with. One of the things you said in a message years ago, you said something like, if you say yes to one thing, you're going to say no to something else. And I've used that with guys a lot of times. So how does that play out? What does that really mean?
Well, we only have so much margin in our lives, so much time, so much money, so much emotional capacity. And so when we say, if I say yes to go and buy a new car, that means I have to say no, maybe to sending a kid to a private school or something like that. And the same is true if I say yes to go speak somewhere, I have to say no to my family that night.
Yeah.
And so really what we have to decide ahead of time is I'm going to say yes to the things that matter most. And if I have to say no to some things I want to do in order to say yes to the things that I really need to do and are most important, then I've got it. It's the old illustration about the professor who had a jar and said, if you're going to fill it up with sand, then you can't put the big rocks in. What you first want to do is you want to first put the big rocks in, and then you can fill it up with the other small stuff. And so we want to make sure the big rocks, the most important things, we say yes to first. And then, Ann Landers said this, we used to have it on our refrigerators, said, neglect the rest of the world if you have to, but never neglect each other.
That's
and
awesome.
That's something that we've tried to do in our marriage, is we'll say no to everything else as long as we're saying yes to each other.
To each other, yeah, and it makes a difference. And you've got to think ahead. I was in a small group once, and the guy had us tell what our priorities were. Of course, Christian guys, we all said God, spouse, family. And he said, okay, now open your calendars.
Right.
And
It's the opposite.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we've got to do that.
Yeah, and we're frustrated when those are our values, but we don't live it.
Exactly.
Because we want to live it. And so someone said that the difference between the values you claim and the life you live equals the frustration you experience.
Oh, that's good.
If we really believe God is first and our family is next and our career or whatever is third, but it's the opposite, then the whole time we're feeling like a failure. And so we might as well go ahead and make it the right way, and then we'll feel like, as men, if we're not winning, we don't want to play.
Exactly.
And so if we recognize, yes, I really am serving God first, I'm loving my wife, then there's momentum that helps us move forward and become more successful, rather than being frustrated and angry and feeling bad about ourselves all the time.
And helps us say no to the right things.
It does,
A
yes.
lot.
Mhm.
One of the things I want men to see out of this is to have hope, not what they can do, but what God can do in their lives. And the last part of the book is falling forward. Let's talk about that as we end.
Yeah, well, in the book we talk about Samson, and he messed up again and again and again.
Yeah.
But at the end of his life, what's so powerful is he stood up and he did what he came to do, and he cried out to God. And Scripture says that, he got his hair shaved, where that represented his strength. But the text says his hair started to grow again, which to me is the most beautiful picture of grace, which is, you may have messed up yesterday, but God's grace is available today. And he pushed the post down and killed more Philistines on the day he died than he had before. And that just shows God's not finished with you yet. No matter how bad you've messed up, no matter how much you're hurting right now, God is a God of grace. He's a God of more chances, and he can take the broken pieces and rebuild your life, and it can be more special, more meaningful than ever before, if you'll follow him fully.
And he wants to do that.
He does.
He wants to do that.
He works all things together for good for those who love him.
That's awesome.
He's a good God.
Absolutely. All the time.
All the time. It's good.
Greg, thanks for being with us.
Yeah,
It's
thank
been
you,
a
Dr.
joy. I can't wait to see how God uses this and the men that it helps.
Yeah, thanks for your ministry and influence.
Thanks.